Yo, what is going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video back on Bitcoin and why the next leg up of this bull market could be starting right now as we flirt with $46,000 price level right here. So we're gonna look at some on-chain stuff, things that are looking very good for Bitcoin and the even outside of Bitcoin's control, like the Fed and stuff. A lot of interesting things, but starting with this price action here. Obviously, the major dump moved into these candles, which honestly haven't had that much volatility. They've been, getting below this one, kind of an outlier because of the flash crash. But getting, under this line, 44,600, we've seen major bounces from. We saw it come here once, big bounce. Again, it got a little bit lower, closer to 44K, which is another big support level. I just don't have it marked here, but that had a massive bounce. Again, got close to this line, massive bounce, and now hopefully we're trying to establish 45 3-ish as the new support level where we can have more bounces. You can see we're at 45,900 almost. We have been over 46 a couple times, struggling to stay over 46 there. All in all, right now, even if you look super short term at like these three candles, so 3 days, there have been higher lows, which is good. Very, very short time frame, so can't really do anything with that, but it does look healthy, a lot, very good for the market. Hopefully, we kind of support around that 46K as support because 47 is a massive level of resistance. We've seen this. I mean, we battled it for 1, 2, 3, got over it for these couple days here, but like over a week, we battled this, got over it, and then it acted as major support. So obviously, going to be major resistance. Getting above it is the first big step. And some of this on-chain data, which is really bullish for Bitcoin, is 93% of Bitcoin's supply hasn't moved in at least a month. This is an all-time high, just another metric showing how bullish supply dynamics are. So 93% of Bitcoin's supply hasn't moved in a month, means it's being hodled, means it's not on the market. So if there's a big rush of demand or people want to buy Bitcoin, the supply that's available to sell is drastically lower. Only 7% of Bitcoin's supply is, on the market or being able to be sold. It's just 93%. That's a massive level, and a month time frame is a decent time frame for people to be holding Bitcoin. So this just shows like supply is going to be tougher to get, and as demand grows, we've seen the launch in El Salvador go pretty smoothly. Not regarding the price, that was a volatility. Should have expected that, but implementing Bitcoin went very smoothly. People are using it, no problem, and this HODL wave is just something where it's the majority of Bitcoin is going to be very hard to buy. And looking at Plan B's little talks here, talking about Bitcoin, in my opinion, Bitcoin, the stock to flow 56, which is the metric of scarcity and stuff. A trillion is undervalued compared to gold and real estate. And if we were to compare Bitcoin, even the total supply of Bitcoin at these price levels, you would have this $10 trillion price level and say 21 million Bitcoin. That's total supply. We are not going to get there anytime soon. That is $476,000 for a Bitcoin. And if we were to do this on Bitcoin's current supply, which we can see right here, circulating supply 18.8 million, just round it up to 19 million. That will give us a more of a price, 526,000. So that's more likely what the price will be at that market cap, because 21 million Bitcoin are not going to be mined or circulating for a long, long time, and 2, there is roughly 3 to 5 million Bitcoin that are already lost forever, cannot be touched, can't be got. So that brings the supply down a little bit there. So 19 million, more of a accurate thing of what I would say is the Bitcoin that's probably going to be circulating. Even that's high, but we'll talk mining, all that stuff. So 19 million, we'll use that number. And at 100 trillion, which is the real estate market, divided by 19 million Bitcoin, that's $5.2 million per Bitcoin. And the interesting with Bitcoin that doesn't happen in any other market is it gets more scarce every halving that happens. So I think next halving, it'll be more scarce than gold, and then the halving after that, it'll be more scarce than real estate. So it continues to get harder to get, whereas Even real estate's a good example of it. You can't really increase that. There's only X amount of land in the world. So, but Bitcoin can get more scarce than what real estate is, and then get more scarce and scarce every single halving that happens, and that's going to push the price up with pushing the supply down as long as demand stays the same or goes up. And a factor outside of the Bitcoin on chain stuff is the Fed's balance sheet. Hits another all time high at $8.357 trillion, which is ridiculous with no end in sight. So, this is the Fed's balance sheet. I mean, you can just see like every single time something happens, all they got to do is bail everything out, which means your savings goes lower in value without you really seeing it, because it doesn't happen with the dollar value. It happens with your purchasing power. I mean, even look at 2008 financial crisis, major swing up, had to pump in a bunch of liquidity and kind of trending up, which is ridiculous how much it trended up, kind of trended down, and then an explosion with 2020, all of this stuff, and just continues rifling up. It is getting very, very large and just devaluing everyone's savings in the process, which is why Bitcoin is very important as a savings technology as well. So the balance sheet continues to pump up, get higher and higher. A big reason why people should have Bitcoin, if not for anything else, to save and preserve your purchasing power and increase your purchasing power with an asset that is a fixed supply and is coded in how it's going to work, how much it gets mined every block, and all of that. Nobody can change that without a huge consensus. But with the Fed, they can change like this. They don't care. They can pump trillions in and not even think about it. And this is an interesting thing. Germany overtakes USA in Bitcoin nodes. Seen this going around and everything. But it's kind of hard to use this data because of VPNs and Tor. So with the US, you can see it was like the leader. This is all of Europe, but Germany to really taking over. The problem with this data is Tor and VPNs. So as far as I've been able to see, a lot of VPNs route through Germany. So if it's someone in the US running a node running on a VPN, that would route through Germany, so it would show up as a German node when it's not a German node. So hard to tell where all the nodes are, but that's a great thing for decentralization. Like, you can't attack Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network, because it's decentralized. And on top of that, you can't attack it because it may say someone's in Germany when they're in the US, or it might say someone's in China when they're in Canada. You can't just pinpoint all this stuff. So that's just a great thing about decentralization and Bitcoin being an unstoppable technology. And just a short lesson about money for the US dollar. This is a $10 bill. Long time ago, gold certified. You can see in the bottom here it says in gold, $10 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand. That means if you were to go to a bank or go to somewhere, you could give them a $10 bill. They would give you $10 worth of gold. You could do that. The next one, same thing. It's will pay the bearer on demand $10. So this one, not necessarily gold, but $10 could be gold. Not really sure what this really means. But then you have today where it is just $10. And people love to say Bitcoin is backed by nothing when the dollar is still backed by nothing. And I would actually argue Bitcoin is backed by more than what the dollar is backed by, because computing power is hard to get. And Bitcoin's computing power is through the roof for the network. So I would say Bitcoin is backed better than the US dollar is backed, especially that we are seeing the dollar start to slip and lose its foothold economically on the world. And I think Bitcoin can fill that pretty easily. And to finish this video off, we have Willy Woo here saying $100,000 Bitcoin is critical for sats being the unit of account. 0.1 cents per sat is something most people can grasp easily. So I'm not sure where he gets the math like that. I did it. It would be 0.001 cents per sat. So I don't know where he gets 10 cents. But it would be 0.001 cents. But we are seeing this huge move in crypto and investing, where if you can make it look like you have a lot of whatever you want to say for your money, then you can get a bunch of people to just FOMO in and throw their money in thinking they can get rich. So going to Satoshis would be a pretty easy change for a lot of people. Probably wouldn't even realize they're buying Bitcoin at that point, but it would be massive for you'd be able to give $1 and get 1,000 Satoshi. And in people's minds, 1,000 Satoshi, that's so much when it's the same thing. It's 0.000 whatever Bitcoin. But people like to see the 1,000 Satoshi, not the decimal place. So it's the same thing, but it could probably get a lot of people more interested in Bitcoin without even really realizing it. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Bitcoin starting the next leg up. All the on-chain stuff looks great, and we have to realize that this price action short term can be affected by the derivatives market, where the leverage starts to get a little high and then gets liquidated. That can cause big effects in price, but on chain, those metrics control a more longer term, longer outlook. As always, guys, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. See you guys in my next video.